We're delighted to welcome Yevheniya Kravchuk. She's Deputy Chair, Committee on Humanitarian and Information Policy in Ukraine. Welcome to TVP World, Yevheniya. Thank you for taking the time. So, talk to us about President Zelensky's initiative. We understand that 106 countries have agreed to send representation to Switzerland for these peace talks. But there's one country that was not invited, and that was Russia. Now, China has refused as a result of that to come. They say that they won't come if Russia's not invited. Does China have a point here? I mean, shouldn't Russia be there?
Well, Russia doesn't want peace talks. It's clearly seen from the bombarding of Kharkiv and killings of many civilians in recent weeks. So it's better than proof showing that Russia doesn't want really peace talks, but they want to kill more Ukrainians, to conquer Ukrainian soil. And that's what is seen. But of course, this peace summit is not a remedy, from Russia's war, but also bringing a peace plan of President Zelenskyy to the ground. And of course, it's more than 3 points that are being introduced for the peace summit in Switzerland, because it's a 10 points plan. But the reason why we want as many countries as possible is to make sure that no other so-called peace plans would be on the table. And of course, at the same time, crucial things are the help to Ukraine on the battlefield. And I think it's even more crucial than any talks, because we'll have to make sure that Ukraine wins in the military way.
Understood. Certainly that seems to be logical. But you mentioned 3 of the 10 points in the peace plan. Could you share those with us?
Yes, basically it's about the nuclear safety, and as you know, Russia is controlling the biggest nuclear power plant in Europe, which is Ukrainian in Zaporizhia. And and we clearly know that they have the military sources there and military machines, tanks and everything, which is strictly forbidden. It could be the biggest catastrophe in the terms of the nuclear power plants. But also other points are for example, food security, and which is really important for the global south. And actually, the global south countries, Russia is targeting right now. So we are aware of that Russia is trying to forbid to say no to some of the countries, especially from the global south, from the participation in this peace summit. And that's really sad, because all these African countries especially are victims as well of this Russia's aggression, because Ukraine is a big supplier of food to this market, and we are trying to export our grains and cereals to the countries that really need them.
Understood. I'd like to move on now, Yevheniya, to China. Now, China, on the face of it, has adopted a neutral stance. They say they're not providing weaponry to either Ukraine or to Russia. President Zelenskyy disagrees, and for the first time he has actually spoken out, accusing China of supplying weaponry to Russia. What's behind that?
Well, as I understood from the speech of President Zelenskyy, he meant that China is trying to influence some of the countries not to take part in the peace summit, as China already announced that they will not send a representative. And of course, Russia is benefiting of some techniques from China to build their own missiles and drones. Because let's face it, Russia does not have the technologies needed for the whole circle of the production of their own military weapons. So they are importing a lot of things apparently from China. So I think that what President Zelenskyy meant.
So it's a combination of the military as well as the economic pressures that China is putting on these other countries to divert them from President Zelensky's peace initiative. Is that correct?
Well, we all are aware that China is influencing some of the, especially African countries, that they have been sort of investing or trying to acquire the economic power of these countries. So probably that's the case. But of course, still, as President Zelenskyy said, already we have 106 countries on the board, which is more than half in, for example, General Assembly of United Nations. So it's a bigger part of the world, if I may say so.
Right, understood. Now, the other thing is that China is proposing an alternative peace summit with Ukraine and Russia both represented. What are your thoughts on that actually happening and perhaps even producing some kind of positive outcome?
We don't really have thoughts about it because it's not on the terms of the Statute of United Nations. So I think it's very important to stick to the plan that President Zelenskyy presented, because all of the 10 points, even if they take them, part and part, at first 3 and then afterwards others, they are all based on the Statute of United Nations. And if China wants to introduce any plans, the first thing they should do is influence Russia, which is killing Ukrainians right now and breaking international order and international rules. So just to begin with, we have to make sure that the international recognized borders are recognized and accepted, and the world order is also accepted.
Indeed. Well, Russia's observance of international laws and the world order has been somewhat patchy recently. Before I have to let you go, Yevheniya, tell us the latest situation in Kharkiv at the moment.
As you know, just a few days ago, we received the positive answer to use American weapon on the troops that are in Russia. I mean, Russian troops that are on the territory of Russia, and they are threatening Kharkiv, which is really important because we can see them from the satellite images, but we could not do anything to them. Right now, the HIMARS had been heading to these troops, so there is sort of a panic on that side of the border. And of course, it's not the remedy for Kharkiv, because we still have to make sure that all of the jets that are sending guided bombs that are killing, thousands of people at one time can also be hit.
Yes, indeed. And of course, as we would expect, I suppose, Putin is again threatening the use of nuclear weapons. He's saying that now, the US is directly involved in attacks on Russia. But this is nothing new. He's been saying that since the start. How seriously do you take this threat this time?
We have to understand that Putin speaks a lot, but at the end of the day, not everything comes to the force. And just remember that under so-called Russian constitution, because they violated for so many times that I hardly can name it a constitution, but nevertheless they claimed as a Russian territory Crimea and other parts of Ukrainian territory, and we already targeted it for numerous times, and nothing happened. And another thing is, of course, will be as we are in the defense, because it's actually actions to make sure that we are defended on, from the strikes to our territory. So I think it's the usual talks.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, Yevheniya Kravchuk, for coming along and sharing your insights on that. Do come and see us again soon. Have a good evening.
You too.